Welcome to the Help Her Be Brave podcast show, where we have great ideas on how you can help save lives. I'm Amy Ford.
And I'm Jessica Russo.
And today we are talking with our friend Claire Culwell, who is so amazing. And she has a book releasing today, which we're so excited about. But she has a very unique story because she is an abortion survivor. So that means her mom tried to abort her and she still lived. And it's kind of a crazy story. And it's powerful, and only God can do the things that he's done with this story. So I'm so excited to have her on today. Hey, Claire.
Thank you so much for having me. This is an honor.
Yeah, I was just talking with Jessica that I can't remember exactly when I heard your story for the first time. I think maybe it was a Counsel for Life thing or something. I don't know. But your story is so powerful, and I'm super excited that our listeners get to hear about you and hear about this book that you're releasing today. Happy book release day, by the way. That is like...
Thank you.
You just birthed a baby.
This is so exciting.
I know. So fun. Okay, so tell us about your story and about your book.
Yes. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. It's an incredible honor. I have been so excited about what Embrace Grace is doing, and now Help Her Be Brave, just encouraging women and everything. It's absolutely incredible. And the reason I think it's incredible is because I learned that I had been affected by abortion, and that my birth mother, no one had helped her be brave. If I can use your slogan, no one had helped her be brave. And I learned this when I met my birth mother in 2009. I knew I was adopted all my life, had this incredible upbringing. I knew I was wanted, chosen, and loved because those were things my parents had told me all my life. And I knew there was a possibility of meeting my birth mother one day. But my meeting with my birth mother went nothing like I expected it to. In fact, I found out the most shocking news of my life. So I met my birth mother. We had this incredible reunion. I knew she was 13 years old, but that's all I knew. 13 years old when she had me.
Wow.
And on our second meeting, my birth mother sat me down and she said, "Claire, there's something you need to know. I wasn't just 13 when you were pregnant. I was 13, and my mother told me that there was one choice for me, and that was to have an abortion. And I went to an abortion clinic. I had an abortion. They told me that day that my life would go back to normal, but it didn't, because you're here." And she said, I was told that my life would go back to normal, but when I went back to the doctor a few weeks after my dismemberment D&E late-term abortion, things didn't seem right, and the doctors told me that I had actually been pregnant with twins. Wow. And your twin had successfully been aborted, but you survived. Wow. And I remember sitting there with my birth mother, and we were sitting on this bed facing each other, and the pain in her eyes, the look in her eyes was something that I had never seen before in anyone's eyes. I had never seen that type of pain before, and I knew that I had never experienced that type of pain before. And I remember her just saying, I'm just so sorry.
Oh, wow.
Your life is a miracle. I'm just so sorry. Your life is a miracle. And she said she fully expected me to run out of that room that day, because she told me that she had actually tried to end my life, and she had successfully ended the life of my twin.
Wow.
And I looked into her eyes that day, and I knew what my parents had told me all those years, that I was wanted, that I was chosen, that I was loved, that I was a child of God, that those things were true about my birth mother too. And no one had stood in the gap for her. In fact, she told me that no one spoke to her in the room that day when she had her abortion procedure that took the life of my twin. And she was 13 years old. No one even spoke to her. No one acknowledged her. No one asked her what her choice would have been. No one asked her what they could do to help her make this possible. They just told her that abortion was her only option. And this was something that affected the rest of her life. And so I had a choice that day. I could either run out of that room like she expected me to, or I could choose to forgive her, because I knew what God said about her, but also because I knew what Christ had done for me and how he had forgiven me for so many things, and what he did for the cross, on what he did at the cross for me was available to my birth mother too. He wanted to make something new and redeem her life just as much as he had done that for me. And so I chose to forgive my birth mother that day. And I'll never remember the moment I asked her if I could share this with people, because I saw, not only God's fingerprints all over this story, all over my life and my survival, but I saw the impact that the story of an abortion survivor could have, especially the story of a twin survivor. Because to look at my face, you're literally looking at my twin. You're literally looking at that unborn baby. And I saw how my life, my survival, our story could humanize that unborn baby. But not only that, it could help people be able to recognize how they should be responding to the woman who finds herself in that unplanned pregnancy situation like my birth mother did, how we can empower women. And I knew that my story could really speak to that. And so I asked her if I could share our story, fully expecting her to say no, but she said yes. She said, literally verbatim, she said, if my story can help one girl not experience what I experienced because of abortion, then everything that I went through would be worth it. And so it's been the greatest honor of my life to be able to share this story, but it's also it was such a shocking moment, a life-changing moment, a moment that kind of spiraled my life out of control for a little while as I grappled with the fact that I wasn't wanted. I was aborted. I was a twin. And choice said that I couldn't exist. And I had to run back towards what God said about me. And I have to do that every single day as an abortion survivor.
Wow. Well, I'm super curious about, so when your mom, like, even at 13, I my daughter just turned 14, but like, she wouldn't fully really I can't imagine her grasping the concept that she was even pregnant, and being so young. But how did your mom find out, or when did she realize that she was still pregnant after she had the abortion, and then the delivery and the process of placing for adoption? Like, how did all that work out?
So my birth mother realized she was pregnant just a few weeks after she had her abortion, maybe 6 later. And I was born a few weeks after she realized she was still pregnant. And when they realized she was still pregnant, they actually went to Kansas to have a second abortion. And she was in an abortion clinic ready to have another late-term abortion. And the doctors there miraculously turned her away. Wow. Because they had ripped the amniotic sac that I was in, and it was too dangerous for them to perform that second abortion. And wow. So she was actually dropped off by her parents, by her mother, at an adoption agency on the way home from Kansas after the second abortion attempt. And she delivered me in a hospital room by herself, surrounded by nurses and doctors, with absolutely no support. And she placed me for adoption because she was told that that was her only choice, was to go home and pretend like this never happened. But she couldn't. I mean, this was something that affected every single part of her life. And she said that she tried to shove it down for so long, but she couldn't. And she went on to have more children and get married. And since I've met her, she has come to know the Lord and come to accept his forgiveness. And her life has done a complete turnaround just because of the goodness of the Lord and the forgiveness that he has for her and that I have had for her. And so I was born at 30 weeks, though, and I weighed 3 pounds, 2 ounces. And I had a dislocated hip, and I had club feet. And I questioned whether those were actually related to the abortion procedure. But miraculously, what the doctors believe is that I was in a separate sac. And so they ripped my amniotic sac, but they didn't get the whole thing. And so I continued to live. And those complications were actually signs that I was a twin. And so they're my everyday reminders. I like to say that I am a twinless twin, in the name of choice. And that's been an interesting concept for me to grasp as well, just because I can't imagine my life. I can't imagine what it's like to be a twin. I've learned what it's like to be a twin, maybe what I'm missing from people that I know that are twins and people who have twins. But absolutely the most shocking moment of my life, finding out that not only did I survive her abortion, but I was a twin. And it's been incredible, just the journey that God's taken me on to where I am today.
My heart just grieves for your mom. I mean,
she was just a baby.
She was just a baby. And to process, like to go through the trauma of an abortion that was forced on her basically. And then to find out just a few weeks later, there's still a baby. And then a few weeks later, or then right then, dropping her off after the second after the second attempt to have an abortion, but the doctors wouldn't do it, and then just immediately just dropped off at a home. Like, what? That is so traumatic for your mom. I just only God can change. You know, the fact that she's got kids and she is happy, and I'm just like so thankful that you guys even connected. Yes. And I bet that was such a healing moment for her to not see you run out of the room and for you to love her and
offer her forgiveness.
Yeah.
It's so powerful.
It's just amazing. And I'm so thankful that you're so courageous in sharing your story, and that your mom, you know, allows you to, and it's such a sensitive story that I'm sure has saved many lives. You speak on stages all over the nation, and I'm just so proud of you. I think last time I saw you, we bumped into each other at the airport. I think maybe in Austin or something. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
So cool. And I'm super proud of you. So tell us a little bit about your book, because today is launch day, and I know that listeners are gonna want to hear more. This is like the tease of what this book is about. They're going to want to hear more and read more, read the whole story, but hear more about what this book all includes.
We're on a mission to equip churches across the globe to provide single and pregnant women with emotional, spiritual, and physical support. You and your church can be the answer to their prayers. You can help her be brave in her choice for life. To learn more about how your church can host an Embrace Grace support group, visit www.embracegrace.com.
Yeah, I'm really excited for everybody to read it. It is kind of a bigger picture look at my life and just the story that God has written. I mean, it has been incredible. And so it details my life from before I was born, from when my parents were trying to adopt and my mom was crying out for a baby, and my birth mother was having an abortion, and God literally plucked me and sent me to my mother, who was desperately crying for a baby, up until, you know, more now, having me being a wife and a mother and sharing my story across the country. The thing that I hope that people hear the most when they or the loudest message I hope they get from Survivor is just forgiveness and redemption, and that God wants to meet us in the trenches. I can't say that this journey hasn't been hard. I do have a smile on my face, and I do have hope, because God has proven himself to be faithful over and over and over in my life, and I know that I can trust him. I know that he goes before me every step of the way. I can't say that it's been all roses and butterflies. I mean, this journey has been really hard. Being rejected, being unwanted, those are things that change your life forever, things that people struggle with for a lifetime, because it's so deeply painful. And those are the things that I had to go through over the past 11 years since I met my birth mother, since I found out those things were true about me to a certain degree. I struggled. And so it's a really honest look at in your struggle, how God can reach into the trenches and pull you out, how he can make something beautiful out of something that was meant for evil, out of something that was painful and messy, because he's done that time and time and time again in my life. And if he can make something beautiful, something new out of a failed abortion procedure that tore my twin's body apart limb by limb, but miraculously didn't end my life, if he can make something new and beautiful out of that, something that points people to him and to his goodness, he can make something new and beautiful out of anything that we're experiencing. And so I hope that that is the message that people hear loud and clear, is that there is hope, there is redemption, there is forgiveness, and Christ wants to meet you where you at, even if it's in the trenches, even if it's messy, even if it's uncomfortable. He wants to for you, and he wants to make a way.
Yeah. So good. And I know my son, well, it's a completely different set of circumstances, and yours is much more, just a lot to take in. I can imagine 11 years ago, hearing the story for the first time. But with my son, Jess, I don't know if you know my story, but basically I almost had an abortion and hyperventilated and passed out in the abortion room. And so I ended up keeping my baby, but went through some guilt and shame and all of that stuff. And so I had a son, and when he was 13, I had to tell him a story because I was going to be on Life Outreach or Life Today and focus on the family and all of that with my first book that came out. And so I knew I had to tell him before I don't want him to hear it from other places. So we took him to Cheesecake Factory and sat him down and told him, and he was, 13 is such an impressionable age. It's hard to you're kind of even just figuring out who you are and, all of that. And so, we told him, and he kind of had the response. He's like a typical boy. We're like, how does this make you feel? And I had so many friends praying because I was so scared he was going to take it as rejection or, and he was just like, I don't know. He couldn't really, he was a boy. He couldn't communicate any really feelings in that moment. But over time, and I didn't really find out until later, for the next 6 months or so, he really struggled with depression, even tried cutting himself a few times, and was he just was like, the enemy was lying to him. Like, why are you here? No one even wanted you. You're not supposed to be here. All of this stuff. But one day when he was about to speak at youth group, the youth he was going to, they said, Jess, will you come speak on 5 minutes on how you're an overcomer? You can talk about whatever you want, but how you're an overcomer. And so he was like kind of getting ready for that. And he came in my room. He's like, Mom, I think I'm ready. He said, I heard from the Lord and I know what I'm supposed to talk about. And he said, I was an overcomer before I was ever even born, and that Satan had a plan to take me out, but I'm here and I'm going to use my story to change the world. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is so awesome. Like, thank you, Lord, that he, a word from God can do what years of counseling, could ever do. Like, it was such a divine word that he needed right in that moment. And I just love that that the Lord helped him, through that of just our identity and our value and our purpose that we all struggle with, but even more so with people like Jess or you, or just people that maybe they were placed for adoption or whatever. But all of us here have a purpose. God has amazing plans, and it's just awesome to see how he turns all things for good for those that love him, and how he's taken this story, and how you are so bold in sharing it, and how so many lives have been impacted, lives have been saved because of your courage in sharing your story. You are supposed to be here. And we're just so thankful that you are, and that you're using your voice to save lives. And we're just so excited. So what is the whole name of the book? You mentioned Survivor, but what is the title? And then how can people find the book? Where can they purchase?
Yeah, thanks so much for asking. So the title is Survivor. And they can find it at Target, Amazon, wherever you can find books. Survivor is there online. Call ahead to your bookstore just to make sure that your particular one is carrying it in store. But it is available everywhere that books are sold. So really excited. Hope y'all pick it up. And I just hope it's an encouragement to you whatever you're going through, that you will just look to Christ and know what he says about you, that you are loved, that you are chosen, that you're wanted, that you are a child of God, regardless of circumstances, just like Amy mentioned.
So good. Claire, thank you so much. And how can people connect with you? Like, do you have a website or maybe your social media?
Thank you. ClaireCulwell.com is my website, and @ClaireCulwell is my social media. So I would love to connect. If you are an abortion survivor, if you have experienced abortion in some way, and I can help you, I would love to be an encouragement, a friend to you, a support to you. So please reach out. And Amy, thank you for all that y'all are doing. It's truly incredible. I wish that my birth mother had a place to go, like Embrace Grace, or had someone like you just to encourage her. Because I know that you would have had the right words to say to make her know that she is worthy and that she could do it. So keep it up. Thank y'all so much.
Oh, Claire, thank you. Okay, well, we'll connect soon.
Claire's story is going to be one that I know myself I'm never going to forget, and I'm sure our listeners aren't either. Like, how powerful. Like, there's just so much in that story. There's so much about love and forgiveness and bravery and brokenness and just beautiful redemption there. And just, again, the obedience of walking out what she has been given to save lives, to help her be brave. Like, she has this powerful story, and shame could have isolated her in that. Like, I wasn't wanted, I wasn't loved, I'm not going to talk about this. But she's sharing her story. And I'm even thinking about, like, how healing this has to be for her birth mom, to have a relationship with her and see lives being saved by their story now.
Yeah. Well, the part that got me was just at the very, very end, just a second ago, when she said, thank you for all that you do. And, you know, if my mom would have had support like this, like, things would have been different. The support like Embrace Grace and what you're doing. And it's like Claire is, and it's going to make me cry. She's like a visual picture of all of us working in the pro-life movement. Like,
she's why.
Yeah, she's why. Yeah, it makes me emotional.
Stop it.
Because, you know, there are so many lives lost by abortion, and to actually see with your own eyes this beautiful woman that almost wasn't here is just amazing. And I hope that people that are, you know, working in the pro-life movement, and if you're working in a pregnancy center or serving or leading Embrace Grace group, maybe it's Embrace Grace leaders, like, let this be an encouragement to you to, like, it is worth the work. It is worth the fight.
It's worth the one.
Yeah, it's worth the one. And let Claire just be like a visual reminder of why we do what we do and why it's important to do what we do. So for those that are listening that haven't quite stepped in and don't really know where to start, like, let this be your motivation. You know, Claire is so amazing, and we're just so thankful for her. And it was so close for her not to be here. And if we could help empower moms like her mom to be brave and choose life, it's all worth it to be serving in this movement. So please buy her book, support what she's doing. Also check out helperbebrave.com. And look, we have so many ideas of how you can get involved in the movement. I have a book as well, Help Her Be Brave, Discover Your Place in the Pro-Life Movement. It has over 300 ideas of how you can get involved in the movement. And also, if you're not really sure where to start, we have a quiz on our website, helperbebrave.com. Take the quiz and you get a custom emailed list of ideas of how you can get involved. So please check us out. Also, if you're interested in starting an Embrace Grace group, and, you know, Claire mentioned Embrace Grace and how our mom could have used that kind of support, check out embracegrace.com and just jump in and start a group. We're so thankful to be on this journey with you guys. We hope that you have a great week.